here today from objectivemanagement.com, and he's got a very interesting background that he'll share with you a little bit more, but just some highlights here. He started work at age 11, decided that 25 cents per week allowance went as far as one soda, one comic book, and 5 penny candies. All gone in a day. First experience with sales. Got a job delivering newspapers and sold newspapers to people who didn't get delivery to earn more money. Learned early that the knack of selling oneself to obtain jobs for the summer, etc. Second sales job, Christmas trees. On Christmas when I was about 13, didn't sell again until after high school. One of the jobs I've had prior to going to college was an employment agency. Fun, but college became my focus. Now as a coach, he can become more focused on his sometimes rock stars, which is a very interesting background. They are independent, creative, strive for success, and be able to be the best. With strong egos, yet still have some fear of success, fear of failure. Sometimes they can't raise the bar, and need encouragement and need to help accountability to gain their goals. Again, the show must go on, and the people I coach have to be the best at what they do. So without further ado, Ed Kleinman, how are you today?
I am fine, Mike, and thanks for inviting me on this. I feel honored.
Oh, well, hey, I feel honored as well. You know, you have an incredible background. Share a little bit with the listeners a little bit more about yourself and kind of what makes you unique and, you know, what gets you up in the morning, you know, because it's being in sales, et cetera, it's hard to keep the energy going.
Well, I think what gets me up in the morning is that I really, really enjoy working with the people that I coach. They're worldwide, and I find it fascinating, the differences between business in Europe, Pacific Rim, and the United States, how people go to business, how they do their business, the difference in that fear factor. I find a lot of times in America, a lot of, maybe new to even experienced salespeople only call on certain size companies, where in Europe and other places in the world, there is no fear. They don't even look up to see, and that's my kind of example. They don't look up to see how big the building is. They just go in and want to be at the decision maker and find out what kind of company it is and what the size of that company is, maybe for the first time, some of the people. But it is fascinating, and I just enjoy it. It's kind of interesting to help people grow their businesses. In turn, they're helping their clients grow their businesses. So it's kind of quite interesting.
So it's kind of like a domino effect, you know, pay forward. You know, you help me, I help you, and we're helping each other right now, and that just grows. And that definitely makes the world a better place, is people like helping each other get better, because we can always get better. Go back a little bit, because that's interesting, because the one thing that I lack is that international experience. That was probably the next thing that I could have done in my sales career, but I never got the international experience. So that is one difference that I did not know. So over in other countries, they don't have any fear, where I think we have a tremendous amount of fear over here with sales reps. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, here's what I think has happened, and it's just my impression and my interpretation of it. After World War II, most of Europe was kind of, whatever you want to call it, destroyed, wiped out. More companies, international, national companies, multinational companies, started coming in and building up. So a lot of the people that I'm dealing with who are in their, let's say maybe they're an average, I'll give it 50 years old or 45 years old, something like that. They grew up with this around them. They didn't grow up with a lot of the mom and pop entrepreneurial type companies that grew up, you know, or family-run companies that went through it. They grew up with big companies coming around. And as they got into sales, this is who they called on, so they were used to it. Such as I've got somebody I coach that started out dealing with Nespresso, which is a coffee company around Europe, and they're owned by Nestle's, and now is in Nestle's, and they're multi-countries that he's working with their sales organizations, and it's quite interesting. Things like Kuwaiti oil that I never would think is, I think that's in Kuwait, but
right.
they're all over Europe, and it's amazing. It's amazing how a company like Oracle is all over the world, and Microsoft is all over the world, and these folks are used to seeing those size companies, and so there is no fear, and their comfort zone is different than falling into, well, I'm okay with my $20 to $40 million companies that I'm working with, as opposed to somebody saying, well, they're a billion-dollar company. I don't know, $500 million company. I mean, for an example, I'm working on something now with our distributor or / she's a sales training expert, Salesforce development expert in Bulgaria, and the telecom is huge. And I scratch my head and go, well, there's something I learned. Never would have dreamed on the size of the companies that exist around the world. And now, having done this for quite a while, I'm well aware of them.
Yeah, the world is a big place, that's for sure. And I find that a lot of times, and you go back to that word comfort zone, I think there's a lot of times that you have to break out of that in your sales crease, I guess, to go to the next level. If you're not at the level that you want to be at, you need someone like Ed to help you develop that and get a game plan together to get you out of that comfort zone, because that's the key to success, is having that and always being a little bit uncomfortable and pushing yourself. And it sounds like that's what you help people do, which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, when I either bring someone in, because I still have to prospect, still look for new clients to join our organization and be part of our, international network. Part of that is that they're willing to be held accountable. I'm more than willing to let them hold me accountable, but they need to be held accountable. And there are times that I will bring up things such as, it sounds like you're in your comfort zone. What's going on? Because we'll talk about pipelines. We'll talk about what's going on. We'll pre-brief, debrief calls that are going on because of the products that we supply for them, that Objective Management supplies, are all front end. They're Salesforce development assessments from pre-hire to presently employed people, and they run on the presently employed. They run from looking at systems and processes to the management team, to the salespeople, into strengths, weaknesses, skill sets, all the way down to potential ROI. On the pre-hire, it's hiring somebody who will sell, not can sell. And we're not psychological or behavioral or personality. We consider ourselves executional. Will they do it? And will they do it for that company? And what to do with them? Training recommendations to, in some cases, on the hiring side, they're not recommended to be hired by that company. On the training side, maybe they need to be reassigned. It all depends, but we're very deep in it and very. I think from everything I've seen, we're deeper than anybody out there, and strong validation and everything. So in bringing people in that are going to use this as front end to get what we call their back end business, the training, the consulting, the development of their client business, Salesforce development, they know I'm going to hold them accountable, and they'll put up with it. They'll put up with it. They know I'll find them too. Usually I get them. Nobody's changed their cell number yet, so we're a type of company that will go after our people. We want to know what's going on and what we can do, because we will do everything and anything within reason to help them be successful, and in turn to help them be successful with their clients.
Absolutely. You talk about that key word, accountability. Boy, that is hard. I know I hold myself accountable to a lot of things, but it is so hard to get that other person a little bit out of their comfort zone, and then for them to make that baby steps towards change or more accountability. Is there any techniques that you can share?
No excuses.
No excuses.
Don't accept excuses. And I won't accept them, and there are times, and just recently I had to write an email back saying, you're right, I have no excuse for what I would consider it a minor screw-up, just a screw-up. There's no such thing as a minor. There's major ones, there's minor ones, I don't know. I screwed up something, and I got to take responsibility for it, Nobody got hurt or anything, but I was called on something. And hadn't thought about it that way, and they were right. We all have to be responsible for ourselves, and not make excuses. And in sales, it's not the competition, it's not the economy. You didn't get the sale because you didn't get the sale. Somebody else got it, and maybe they were better than you. Or maybe they, what can I tell you? But accept the fact and get on to the next one, Don't make an excuse about it.
Oh, that is so classic how you just stated that, too, because I love when, I refer it to as the excuse story, and I'm like, okay, the economy. All right, well, everyone's in the economy, so now what? Oh, well, it wasn't the right timing. Right timing for who? You? I mean, it's kind of, you have to blame yourself after a while. You can't keep blaming others for the reason that you didn't get a sale.
What would happen if somebody out there listening or is going on a sales call or you or whatever, and the question comes down to you're sitting in front of your prospect and you're hearing these excuses. My guys, they're not selling, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. I'm using our industry, the Salesforce development industry, and you ask them, what is your market share? And they tell you, well, we got 20% market share. So you're saying your competition's got 80%. Do you really want a piece of that? And if you want a piece of that, do you have the right people to get that piece? People are happy with their market share. They think they're doing great until somebody says, well, wait a second. You got 10%. That's 90% out there. Do you want some of that? That makes some sense. Which means people have, so you have to have the right people in the right seats who and the right management who can grow that team to grow your company. That's sometimes not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, it's very hard to do.
Yeah. You there? Hello?
I am 100% believer when I help companies, and I say, test them. Get them into some sort of program and test them because, they might be holding a good conversation with you, or you went out to lunch and they held a conversation. Well, that's good. That person's just a good conversationalist. They're all a professional interview, which I know Ed, there's tons of those out there, people that just interview for full time. And there are a lot of things, and I think taking a standardized look at a test is the way to get that outside opinion using your resource. Can you talk a little bit more about what you offer to a company?
Sure. On a company, we'll look at their salespeople, and you mentioned that the good talker. We look at a thing what we call need for approval, as it can get in their way. This is the person that wants to be liked all the time, and they spend more time in taking it to an extreme, telling jokes or great handshakes and conversations than getting down to the business, because they want to be, they have this need for approval. They want to be approved, and they'll walk out without having found a whole lot out about the company. And
absolutely.
We'll look at that. We look at things that hold salespeople back, the buy cycle. Take too many think-it-overs, or they understand why somebody's going to shop around because that's what they do. But on the what we call crucial elements, which are strengths, number one is commitment. Are they committed to do whatever it takes within reason to be successful? Do they have the desire to be successful in sales, to be financially secure in sales? Do they enjoy selling? You'd be surprised some of the people that show up, work in companies, don't enjoy selling and are not money motivated. at least if you enjoy selling and you're not money motivated, you probably think you're making too much money or very comfortable in the money you're making, and maybe there's something wrong with the comp plan. I don't know, or people go in and look at things like that when they get there. And we look at the skill sets. Does the company want hunters? Do they want hunters that can close? Just because you can find the business, or an analogy I use, guy comes home and tells his wife, hey, look, I found the deer we can eat tonight. And she goes, where is it? Well, it's over the hill. It's by some couple trees back there, around near the lake. And she takes the rifle and goes out and shoots it so they can eat. It's nice to find this stuff, but if you don't do something about it, then what?
It's so true. I'm going to remember that analogy because that's perfect. Because it's a lot, which I refer to as busy work. Proposals. I'm a big believer in why are you doing proposals during the middle of the day? Why are you doing all this busy work? You're just get out there in front of people. I mean, I don't think it's that.
Excuse me. How about why are they more than one page? Do a proposal. Give them the people. If you can give them what they want, find out what they want in the proposal. Shouldn't be more than one page.
I agree, and I have a quick war story. When I was working with a large company, and we did a 150-page proposal with 10 attachments, and it took 2 weeks. I chunked this thing through Outlook, and my machine almost shot down. It was so many megs. And I get a ding back in 2 seconds, and it goes, and he goes, where's the price page? And I didn't do this by design. And I'm like, I just spent 2 weeks of my life.
That's right.
You just do the one page, just like Ed said. Just do the one page, call it an executive proposal or something, and move on.
And ask them the questions before you do a proposal. Ask them the questions that need to be asked. What are they looking for? You do a proposal, and these people are sitting up. They're going to look at 150 pages. Of course not. They're not going to read it, or they're going to look at it and say, is this going to cost us a fortune? God knows what's in that. You give them what they want. If you can do it. If you can't do it, then maybe you don't need to put a proposal in. If it doesn't fit your company, your business, on what they want,
I agree.
That's called qualifying the prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell them a little bit more about some other services that you help develop the sales force. And, finding good people is so hard nowadays. Well, what are some tools that you can help?
Our hiring tool has got predictive validity of 95%, that the people that you hire using it will still be employed and still producing, and in most cases outproducing the people that you've had on that team. It is an amazing product. It looks at their strengths, their weaknesses, their skill sets. It matches them up with their experience and what the company wants from them, their compatibility with that company. If the company's looking for a hunter, do we have somebody that's got, spend 80% of their time finding new business? Does the company need people that work remote? Can this person work remote by himself with no supervision? And do they have the skills that they are needed and required for this position? And we do a recommendation, which is another thing, which we don't see in competitors that are recommending that this is somebody that you should at least interview anyhow. I mean, it's only a first part of the whole process. We also have a talent acquisition program that our resellers, distributors use, and they'll go in and train the HR, the sales managers, the president, everybody and anybody that has anything to do with hiring, to deal with anything from writing the ad, placing the ad, who does what and where, how to read resumes, because even bad resumes may be a good person if you learn how to read them right. First interview, second interview, all the way up to a 90-day onboarding program. They've just hired somebody who's good and a fit, and all the way down the line, let's not lose the person. So let's have a real onboarding program. And we do that. We have that area. And we have evaluations for what we call professional firms, the engineers, the lawyers. They look at the interest in business development, degree of interest all the way up to the rainmaker. Then we have some stuff. We have a fairly new one that we brought out about a year or so ago that we call it's Key Management Dynamics. It's for the managers that are not in sales. That just looks at the dynamics. Are they negotiators? Are they team players? Are they risk takers? You know, when a CEO brings his management team in, or a president brings a management team in, you know, is there a balance there? And if not, if they're replacing somebody or somebody leaves, maybe look for somebody who can give a better balance. Or one of the things I said was having a president who's a poor negotiator and you've got somebody in your management team who's a great negotiator, maybe you need to bring them along when you're doing some negotiations, you know?
Yep.
Get a better look at your team. So we have some varied things, and we're always upgrading. We're always changing. We're learning from our people in the field. Does this work, that work? Or why not try something like this? Or, you know, if you change the chart this way, if it makes sense to us, it gets done right away. We just came out with a whole bunch of new, I guess, upgrades and changes, you know. First big major change in our reports probably over the last maybe 10 years or so. But a lot of it comes from the field. We listen to our people. They're out there, and they're the ones that are out there working with their companies. We listen very closely, and everything's online, so I'm not the techie guru in all of this, but it seems to happen fairly quickly. You know, and there were a couple times that I was in the office and somebody gave me a suggestion, and I went right into our COO who deals with a lot of the technical stuff, and said, you know, what if we did this? He changed it right there in front of me. You know, a word here, a paragraph there.
Right. Ed?
Mike? Hello?
Ed?
Yes, we lost each other there for a second.
Yes. So they always updating, changing things, and it's very, and that's the key. You always got to keep tweaking things. No different than sailing. I don't want to put you on the spot here a little bit, but is there any data out there? Because I've seen all sorts of streams of data on what it costs to hire someone that doesn't work out. You know, making a bad hire.
Well, we have what's called Ghost Worksheet or Cost of Poor Hires. If people want to know what it's cost for a poor hire, go to our website, www.objectivemanagement.com. And if you give me one real quick, I want to give you the exact wording of it. But right there is a free, what we call a grader, and it's a Salesforce grader. And I'm just waiting for it to come up on my computer here. Sorry for doing this. Okay, it'll be up in a second.
I might want to add that tool to my website then.
Well, we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what it's called. It's called Free Hiring Mistake Calculator. It's right in the middle of our home page, and it'll say Free Hiring Mistake Calculator. And anyone out there that wants to know, you know, anything about the hiring mistakes, they can put that in and put all the information in. Mm-hmm. There's also one next to it called a free Salesforce grader, which will give them an idea of their present sales force and where they stand.
Excellent.
So it's there for the use, free use on it. In most cases, it will create, to be honest with everybody, it will create a lead. I mean, it's just, now that we've got that, we've got to get it back to them. So they may get a call with from one of our distributors to get further explanation on it, which is fine.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I want them to call you directly, the listeners here and people that listen to the show later. But we only got a couple minutes. Okay. Yeah, well, we only got a couple minutes left, but you did say, let's combine this question. You just mentioned the word lead, and in social media, I'd like to talk a little bit about how do you generate leads for yourself, and are you using social media to help maybe generate some leads?
Here's what I do. First, I'm probably coaching about 60 people or so and some of their associates. So without a doubt, I'm always looking for referrals. However, I've been using LinkedIn. I don't even know how long I've been using it anymore. I mean, I can't even tell you how many years I've been using it. And I use that by putting in Salesforce development experts, sales trainers, sales management trainers, business development, and I get lots of names. I send out letters, and I get a fair amount of people that reply back, and then we start a conversation, and sometimes we're not a fit or not. I do that. Our website generates leads, so to speak. Some of them would come my way because if it's somebody who wants to, we have a resellers wanted site there, so some of it would come my way or to the other coach that we have on board. And word of mouth. I mean, that's some of the people.
Are you using?
I'm sorry.
Are you using Twitter or Facebook at all to help generate leads, or are you just sticking with LinkedIn?
Personally, I'm sticking with LinkedIn. My use on Facebook, there's a couple of the people that I coach that are on there with me. I kind of like Facebook for friends. It's kind of a relaxing thing, Twitter I signed up for. I find that I don't have a lot of time to do that, especially having people that I got to coach that are outside the country or 6-7 hours ahead of us or even 12 hours ahead of us. I just find that when I find out that when I'm done with work, whatever time that is in a day, it's kind of nice to walk away from the computer and just clear out, because when I'm here and when I'm dealing with our clients and people that I'm working with, I get real focused on them, and I'm just glad I got a lot of windows in my office, so I can, when I'm focused on them, if I look out, I can see the sky or the rain or the trees or whatever. But I need to focus on them because it's about them. It's not about me. And so when it's all over for the day, it's kind of nice to take a deep breath and shut it down and walk away from it, because there's always tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So I see too many people get hung up on so many of the Internet stuff. I do answers every once in a while on the various groups on LinkedIn that I'm aligned with or joined, especially if it's a question that comes up that just kind of tweaks me a little bit, saying, wait a second, what are they talking about here? I see this a different way, but no, I don't use too much of the other stuff.
It's different for everyone, that's for sure. We've got to close it down here, but I've learned a lot, and I really do appreciate your time today, Ed. Tell the listeners, because, this is recorded, so it could be 6 months from now someone listening to this.
Absolutely.
How do they reach out, and how do you like to be approached, and what do you offer for that person, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, anybody that wants to talk to me about further what we do, I'm open. You can call me on my toll-free number, 1-877-755-8700. That's 1-877-755-8700. Or email me at Ed Kleinman, one word, and it's Klein like in Nancy, MAN, at objectivemanagement.com. And that's objective management is one word. and you will get a response. I'll call you back, I'll email you back, or you'll get me when I'm not coaching someone, and we'll talk, and I'll answer your questions and whatever else we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very approachable, and I don't know if you remember, but you and I met on LinkedIn. You know that. There's a lot of. Yeah,
I mean, and look at this. Years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years later, here we are. So you can build these relationships and really help each other grow. And I love your solution set, and I would encourage anyone to do their homework before hiring someone. Put the tools and resources, because making a bad hire, boy, not only the money that you put on the table in the beginning and through the process, but the money you lost. If you have a bad sales rep out there, and I've picked up plenty, going out after cleaning up after people, boy, it just ruins everything. It just, making that hire and spending the money in the beginning is priceless.
Absolutely, and I hope that the listening audience, whenever does go, if they're in a position to find out the hiring mistakes, the cost of hiring mistakes, I think they'll be shocked. It's there, and I think it's a worthwhile tool to find out before you make any more hiring mistakes, especially with the unemployment rate right now. There's a lot of people out there looking for work, and there's good ones out there. You don't have to jump at the first one that comes by that you think looks good. Pre-hire screen them. Get the right person in the right seats, because they're the ones that are going to grow your company and help you out.
Absolutely. Well, Ed, thank you so much for your time. I really had a good time here with you today, and I look forward to yeah, it was fun. And I just want to close it out, wish everyone good luck on their next sales calls, and please reach out to Ed, and he's a great guy to connect with on LinkedIn and grow your business and make sure that you have a great sales force behind you. So,
well, I want to thank you, Mike, for the opportunity, and good selling to everybody out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ed. Bye now.